So one of the things I ponder about often, and I'm sure you do too, is why was mankind created? Why did Allah put mankind on earth? What is the purpose? What is our purpose? When we get up in the morning, what is the purpose of our living? What is the purpose of our lives? Now, there are lots of things in the Qur'an, there are lots of concepts in the Qur'an where Allah describes what we must do in our lifetime. Allah describes a test. Allah talks about how mankind was created to serve Him, ibadah. But I've always thought about what is the tangible reason for our creation? Why does Allah want us to serve Him, and what does that really mean? And I came across this verse which I thought it's really important for us to study, which I think can help us to provide part of the answer of why we were created. It's part of the keys to unlocking the reason for our creation, why we are on this earth. The verse that I want us to look at today is Surah Al-An'am, which is chapter 6, verse 165. In this, Allah says, He is the one who made you khala'ifa on earth, وَهُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَكُمْ خَلَائِفَ الْأَرْضِ, and raised some of you above others in level, so that He may test you in what He has given you. Now, often the translations of this verse talk about how we have been appointed as successors on this earth. But I want to look at this word khalifa in more detail. Khalifa on earth. Khalifa al-Ardi. Because as I said, I think this holds part of the key, part of the answer to the question that we're looking at today. So, Khalifa is made up of the three root letters Kha, Lam, Fa. And the meaning of these three root letters is to replace, to come after, to substitute and to supersede. So, just as the night supersedes the day and the day supersedes the night, and when a particular generation supersedes the previous generation, that's captured by this word, by these three root letters. What it also means, however, is to be in charge of something, either for someone or after someone or an entity. So if you like, a subordinate. If it was an army, it would be a lieutenant or lieutenant, depending on how you pronounce the word. So you've been put in charge of something by a higher authority than you. In charge of something. Now, this is really important to bear in mind. If we go back to this verse and we look at Khalifa on earth, what we begin to understand from this phrase is that God put us in charge of this earth under His authority. He is the master, and He has appointed us as an agent, if you like, or a custodian of this earth. Just think about the honor that He has given mankind, that He has given you and me. He has placed trust in us. He has created a trusteeship where He has given us control over this earth. That is what it means when Allah says to us that He has made us khalifa on earth. We're almost like His subordinates. We are not even close to being of the same magnitude and power of God. But think about the power that He has given us. If He is telling us that He has made us Khalifa on earth, his agent. Once we begin to understand this term, it's the repercussions, the meanings are quite incredible. And it helps us to make more tangible sense, at least for me, in terms of what the purpose is of our creation. It's to have custody of this earth. You see, when I am born, this earth, the custody of this earth, is passed down to me from my previous generations. The same for you. So we, you and I, have been passed custody of this earth by our previous generations under the authority of God who created everything. That for me gives me something to hold on to, something tangible to think about when I'm thinking about the purpose of my existence. It's to look after this world and everything within it. So what God is telling us, let's make some notes about this. He's telling us that He has entrusted this earth to us and that we are the custodians of everything on this earth, whether it's living or non-living. So that includes looking after the people, looking after all the other living creatures on this earth, and looking after the environment. Everything that is on this earth, whilst we are living, it is for us, it is our responsibility to look after it. But there is more to this. Let's complete the study of this verse. And raised some of you above others in level, so that He may test you in what He has given you. First, He's telling us that some of us have been given more. We have been given more, and with that, we have a higher level of responsibility when holding custody of this earth. And that level is dependent on what and how much we have been given and bestowed upon by God. Again, it's a bit perhaps like an army where you've got people of different levels with different levels of responsibility, but everybody has a part to play and everybody is a custodian. Everybody has been given this responsibility. And the second thing here, which Allah is telling us, is that this life is a test. It's a test as to whether we act as the Khalifa, whether we act as the custodian, this responsibility, this honor which God has given to us, whether we act as the Khalifa in line with what has been bestowed on us. So depending on how much and what has been bestowed on us individually, the test is whether we are fulfilling our responsibility on earth in this life. Our purpose of life is to do with this life. You see, many people think that the purpose of our life is all about the hereafter. And of course there is something about the hereafter, but the critical responsibilities to why we've been created is about this life, this earth that we have been put on. Now there is another verse that I was looking at which we need to study, which talks again about the different levels of responsibility. And the reason why we are looking at this verse is that it adds further context and clarity to what we are just studying. This is Surah Az-Zukhruf 43 verse 32. Do they distribute your Lord's mercy? We distribute among them their livelihood in the life of the world. And we raise some of them above others in level. Remember, that's what we just studied previously. We raise some of them above others in level so that they may take one another in service. And the mercy of your Lord is better than what they accumulate. Look at this very carefully. We need to be making some notes here. What God is telling us here is that we have to serve one another. We have to serve one another based on the level of responsibility and based on what has been bestowed on us by God. Do you see this? We have to serve one another. And the second point here is that Allah is saying serving is the opposite of accumulation. It is the opposite of accumulation. In other words, serving means giving. Now this is a really important key. Giving. You see, throughout the Qur'an, there is a strong emphasis on giving. And we need to ponder about this.